Hey everybody, greetings, Vorm here. Doing what we do. Sort of. This is going to be a different kind of video. So, welcome to everybody who's here, and welcome to the future YouTube folks that are going to see this video. Either under radar. How to say this? Our regularly scheduled broadcast of Surviving the Aftermath is not going to occur. It's just not going to occur. Yeah, it's just not going to occur. So, the reason for that, I've debated with myself with it, and what's going on is that I'm just not interested. I'm not having any fun. I find it to be intensely boring. I just don't want to play it anymore, combined with another interesting thing I discovered right before I went live. Regardless of gameplay, I fired things up. I was stepping around my computer after turning the big lights on, and I noticed a noise I hadn't heard before. And I checked my computer and put my handle on the back, and there's like a a wind tunnel effect coming out the back of my computer. So I came around the front to look, and turned on some monitoring programs. And right now, Surviving the Aftermath in pause mode on this map has my GPU running at 97% in pause mode. On this screen that you're looking at right now, we're cycling between about 95 and 97% of my GPU. Now, to give you some scope, it's an RTX 3080. It's a brand new RTX 3080 that it's got running at 97% utilization on the paused map screen here. Yeah, I could fly a kite off the draft from the fans kicking out the back of my computer. So that kind of puts the final nail in the coffin in Surviving the Aftermath for me personally. I'll talk a little bit about what I'm struggling with, so that people can take away from this what they will, and make their own decisions on whether they would like to buy and play the game themselves. It seems initially interesting, but the more I play it, the more I realize, God damn it, I hate that zoom. The more I realize just how shallow everything is. There's just no actual gameplay from my own personal feeling. I don't feel like I'm playing a strategy game. I feel like I'm playing an idle clicker on my phone. It's just some generic timers that are going off every once in a while, and I'm feeling no pressure of any kind. I'm feeling no danger of any kind. The buildings don't really matter what I build or where I build them. It's all very surface and very obvious exactly what you're supposed to do in every circumstance. I mean, if it's winter, you build burners. If it's radiation, you build and stock your medical facilities. And there's not really anything to do. I particularly dislike this screen. All gameplay initiated on this screen is shallow, and extremely boring. There's just nothing going on here. I mean, you have this overworld map, and there are places where there are free resources. You walk over to them, you bring the resources back. That's exciting the first 3 or 4 times. The first 40 or the 50th time you do it, it's not in the remote, not even slightly exciting. There's no fights, really. Fights are just, how many hit points am I going to lose to, once again, just take those resources back to base? That's it. There's no variance. There's no variable. There's no wondering what's going to happen. There's no danger of any kind. You know exactly what the fight's going to entail, how much damage you're going to do, how much damage they're going to do to you, how long it's going to take you to get the resources. It's all set in stone. Although, other than just randomizing the map, there's nothing to it. There's absolutely nothing here that's interesting. I mean, you get the vehicles and they let you move things around a little more, and it becomes a little bit of a logistics puzzle on how do I maximize my movement of my units to go get those resources to bring back to base. But beyond that, I have not seen anything that's even remotely interesting about any of this. The trading is the same way. It's just dead obvious and dead simple. I can't find anything that I actually find interesting, challenging. There's just nothing there for me. I keep struggling with it and keep thinking it through and can't come back to any kind of a fun factor involved in this. This whole strategic layer is just bad. All of it. There's not a single part of it that I enjoy. And if somebody comes back and tells me, well, you just hadn't gotten to the fun part yet. The further out you get, the more dangerous it gets and so on. I don't care. If I have to go through 20 hours of boredom to get to the fun bit that's out here, it doesn't make a difference. I'm never going to get to that part. I'm just going to stop playing it. So I have some major problems. I hate absolutely this whole strategic layer. It's tissue thin, busy work of me just moving units around based on their movement speed. I could care less what particular specialist I have. They're completely cookie cutter with only minor variations in their skills. But once I started moving around, I totally could care less which one I have where. Doesn't make a single bit of difference. Doesn't make the slightest difference whatsoever. The only thing it might do is if I send a fighter to a fighting spot, he'll kill it 1 round faster than somebody who's not a fighter. Maybe. And that will slightly slow down my eventual distribution of resources. And that's it. There's absolutely no other reason to use anybody for any particular thing other than these occasional mini quest chains that come up where you might want to send a specific unit to get one of the messages to unlock. But that's it. That's the sum total of any decision that you really have to make. Otherwise, it's obvious. I mean, you get resource, you get resource, you get resource, you get resource. Then you go out a layer, you get next resource. Then you go out a layer, you get next resource. And all you're doing is playing taxi for resources. And it's click, 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 with no brain power involved in any way. So between that and this, if I do that one more time, and this stuff, it feels like it makes absolutely no difference where I put anything. All of the citizens, the colonists, are completely generic, cookie cutter. Drop any one of them into any position. They have no skills. They have no nothing. They have no reason for one person to be anywhere other than another. I hate the gate thing. Why do I have to assign people to the gate? There's no point to it other than making me click on it. And if I take them out, why don't they go in automatically? Why force me to do this every time we get a fight? And then it occurred to me, well, why even bother upgrading your gate? I didn't win a single gate fight. I didn't care if I lost the gate fights. So why bother uploading the gate or upgrading the gate? That's a totally useless research train. Because if you leave it the small version, they blow it up faster, then you execute them when they walk in, like we did every single time so far, very, very easily, with no danger, no planning, no tactics, no strategy, no nothing. You just park a few citizens here, or specialists here, and they execute the guys. So why bother researching gate upgrades? Why bother putting any guards in there? There's just no point to it. There's no combat that means anything in the game. Water is infinite. I can put water wells apparently out here, and I get the water in my camp just magically. The more I talk about it, the more I think about it, the more I dislike most of the implementations of all this stuff. Looks nice, sort of, and I mean, this looks so interesting, but the more I played it and I thought about it after our last session, the more it occurred to me just how paper tissue thin everything is. I mean, other than make this building and then you have to have a water tower nearby. Make this building and you have to have an electricity, I forget what it's called. Not the battery rack. Whatever it's called. You have to put one of these nearby. But that's it. There's no other real overlapping resources. There's no... I don't believe that there's any kind of spoilage. So, I mean, I could take my specialists, group them up in a group of 6, and then in the course of about 10 minutes, just slowly walk them around this entire map, murderizing every single animal on the map. Kill them all. Just kill them all. Let their bodies hit the ground, and they'll just sit there forever until I go send somebody to actually pick up the corpses, and we turn them into meat. But that would then remove all of the random animals attacks that I also dislike, and fill in the entire map. So if I did that right at the beginning, I'd have 0 animals to worry about. We'd have massive amounts of meat laying around forever. And it's just this kind of stuff drives me nuts. There's nothing behind it. There's nothing to actually keep my interest. Progressing through the tech tree is just tied directly to you having to go out onto that strategic map that I hate and gathering the fake science points. So that you can unlock more techs and more techs and more techs that aren't appreciably changing anything. They're not adding any more interesting decisions or anything like that. So it feels like a clicker. It feels like an idle clicker to me. So I hate to be a big down naysayer, but I'm just not enjoying myself. I don't think I'm going to enjoy myself, and I don't want to inflict further grumpiness on everybody. So that's what we're going to be doing. You have FPS lock or VSync. I've tried it both with and without. So I've tried, I fiddled with the settings. What have I got it on currently? I've tried a bunch of different ways. I've tried VSync. I've tried setting a frame limit. I've tried it without and unlimited. Nothing I do seems to be making a difference. It's weird because if I unpause, it drops. It just dropped from 95 to 80. So when I unpause and things are moving and we're panning around, it's 80 to 84. As soon as I pause it, instantly jumps up to 90. It's now at 98. So, I mean, I don't know what's causing it, but I don't particularly care. That was just the final straw. I was going to play it out tonight, a 4-hour session, and then kind of recap at the end and explain how I really wasn't enjoying myself. I didn't expect anything much to change, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I don't want to have my GPU running at 98% for 4 hours of me being grumpy and putting extra stress on the system. So there's just no reason to do it. So yeah, it's 97, 98% on an RTX 3080 right now. So yeah. Now, I don't know. This could be something really weird to my system. I'm not saying it runs like this always. I didn't notice it previously, but we wouldn't notice it from a performance standpoint. But man, it's blowing a massive pile of air out the back of my system, and it's hot air because that's running so hard. My CPU is only at 40%, but the GPU is just getting crushed. So, I don't know. I'm not interested in trying to figure it out. The gameplay itself is what threw me initially. This is just an extra little fun tidbit I wanted to share with folks. Whether you experience it or not, I don't know. Could be based on software, settings, graphics card. There's a lot of possibilities there. So, I won't say it's a universal problem. But, yeah, we're not going to play Surviving the Aftermath. I'll append this little 15-minute diatribe to the end of my last episode and get it uploaded so people know what's going on and why I suddenly stopped playing it. But unless one of you guys can point me to where the fun's supposed to be, I'm just not seeing it. Like I said, this whole strategic layer is mindlessly boring. With nothing really interesting going on, and I'm not finding much else within this. It's all very bare bones and basic, very obvious what you're supposed to do for what occasions, and you're just waiting on timers. It's just it's an idle clicker, and you're just waiting out timers so that you can clean the radiation, and then build a building, and wait for the next timer, and then build the next building, and wait for the next timer. But, without there being anything interesting going on with the building positionings or overlapping radiuses for effects or something, there's none of that. There's just place a building, set a work zone, and you're done. That's as complicated as it gets. But, yeah, I mean, the colonists being just total cookie cutter, generic pawns, literally, that you can shove around in any position you want. You can have them be a surgeon one day, and you can yank them out, and they can be an auto mechanic the next, and yank them out, and they can be a scrapyard scavenger the next, and it makes no difference. There's no functional difference between any of them. So they're all just blank ciphers that you plug in wherever they're supposed to go. And then all the nonsense clicking they make you do for no reason. So yeah, we're done. I won't keep belaboring the point. So we're going to say goodbye to Surviving the Aftermath. I don't think I'll be revisiting it. So I think I did revisit it because it's supposed to be near the end of its dev cycle. There's only supposed to be a few final polishings and whatever they're going to stick onto the end game. So I don't see anything remotely close to there being any changes that I would be interested in. So we're gonna quit out of that. And